All doing well. I'll be doing a quick video about reasons why people leave church. It's so important to talk about this because sometimes people do leave and they say that maybe the time is up, um, their season is up, and they say that, God told them to leave, and they keep it short and sweet. And sometimes people want a statement on why people leave, and they don't want to feel like they're gossiping either, so they keep it short. They keep it short. They say something like, you know, my time has come or something like that, and they keep it short. But I think it's really important to make people aware of why sometimes people leave instead of it being gossiping, and not talk about certain people, and not talking about a certain person. Um, it's important to um, realize why people leave, and like 'cause sometimes people they want closure. Sometimes they're not aware what happened, and some people are confused and they feel like abandoned in some kind of way, and they want to know why. So I think the first one I'll talk about is witchcraft, word curses, and jealousy. When it comes to envy and jealousy, um, obviously some people are Ahab'd. They don't understand sometimes. Um, a leader's character can really impact someone's life. Sometimes someone's character is so horrible that they leave a church member, or someone serving or a member, leave them feeling like objectified. When someone is they see sometimes they see someone as a threat. Jealousy, it doesn't make sense. Jealousy is silly, but sometimes a leader does get jealous, and they start to objectify the person, and the person who came to church to feel safe, to feel like they want to feel like they belong, and they want to feel safe. And sometimes when they don't feel safe, they feel objectified. It can get uncomfortable. It's now it's they're now this one sided competition, and they feel like they have to perform. And now it's like, hey, you're trying to prove yourself, kind of thing. And when someone's jealous, they can sometimes be abusive. They try to word curse the person, say, "Oh, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve anything." And all you care about is fame. All you care about is money. They start to see the person as like competition. They feel threatened. They don't see the person as human anymore. They don't validate the person's feelings. And sometimes it's not about fellowship anymore. It's about competition, about one up in the person. It's now about competition. It's now about like, oh, I'm better, I could do better. It's passive aggressive behavior, the silent treatment. Oh, she's jealous of my ministry. Oh, she's envious of my ministry. She's trying to compete with me. Oh, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that. Everything's about competition. It's like it's not about fellowship anymore. It's about competition. It's about social climbing. Like, oh, I know the right people, I could put you on. And it's now become like this social club. It's now become like this business. It's now like a business minded kind of thing. It's supposed to be church. Church is supposed to be about unity, fellowship, and struggling together and helping each other. Like, oh, you're struggling, I'll help you. Now it's like, what can you bring to the table? How can you help me, kind of thing. And now when someone's envious and jealous, they see the person as an object. They're like, oh, you know what? Okay, okay, you're doing this, and I feel triggered, but are you doing that? Are you doing this? And they move the goalpost. What they do is they move the goalpost, and they're like, okay, you done that. Okay, what about this? And they try to move the goalpost because they're trying to figure out ways. They're trying to justify their reasons to hate you. They're trying to justify their reasons to hate you. So they're like, okay, you're doing this in ministry. Well, why can't you do this? And maybe you're not strong in that area. And you go, oh, I can't do it. I'm not really good at singing. I don't know be in a worship team. I can't sing. I don't like being on stage. And they go, oh, see, I know she wasn't a good person. They try to figure out a reason to hate you. And jealousy is very dangerous, and it's so important when people don't look within themselves and get deliverance and get healing. They try to justify their envy. Insecurity, jealousy is very common, but and it can be dealt with. But when it's not dealt with, it comes with witchcraft. It comes with word curses, and you're trying to destroy the person's life, and this person just trying to survive. They're trying to find a church so they can feel safe. They've been betrayed by family members. They've been betrayed by, society. They've been betrayed by a love interest, their spouse, ex. They've been betrayed by all these people, and they come to church because they want to feel seen. They want a family. Their family keeps screwing it over. Their family are toxic. They've got toxic family members. They had toxic leaders in the past. They've been abused in the past. They've been church hurt in the past. And they're trying to find the right family, a right church family. And the person envies them. They envy their testimony. They envy their struggle. And it doesn't make sense. They've been through it. They've been through it. They struggled. They had depression. They carry the burden. They carry the burden for years, and they're trying to be brave and go back to church, and the person looking at their gifting, their ministry, what they do, and don't realize that it's coming from experiences. It's coming from experiences. They've been through stuff. That's why they're so anointed. That's why they're so gifted. They've been through stuff. They have experiences. They haven't been sitting around. They haven't been sitting around just being creative. They've been through stuff. And what makes it sad is that people are jealous of people that survive chaos. They've been tore down. They've been tore down. They've been broken. They've been broken by all these people, and it's just like they've been through stuff, and they go through chaos, and they go through like all these problems and issues, and they see it and go, oh my gosh, I need to humble her. I need to tear her down. I need to tear him down. I need to tear him down. And that's why when it comes to jealousy and envy, when people don't see it in themselves, they try to justify their witchcraft. They try to justify and go, you know what, I need to humble that person. I need to tear them down. All they care about is this, all they care about that, and they word curse. And it's so dangerous. So that's why people have to leave. God told them to leave. God tells them to leave. God told them to leave, like to say, you know what, you need to go. You need to go. Kind of at the end of the day, it's so important to seek healing and counseling, because at the end of the day, when it comes to jealousy and envy, when you try to justify it, you end up hurting the person. The person walks away. And some leaders won't tell you. Some people won't tell you because they're Ahab. They're scared of confrontation. But you being passive aggressive, you in competition with the person, and you trying to one up the person, you're trying to be in this one-sided competition with them because of your own insecurities. You're trying to justify abusing them and gaslighting them. Some people are gaslighting people as well. They gaslight as well. They use gaslighting. They use word curses, and they do different things to try to put the person off their ministry. And it's like some people have to walk away because when someone's jealous, it's like they can't speak peaceably to the person. They can't talk with peace. They can't talk to them in a calm manner. They're angry, and the person has no choice but to walk away. And they're not going to say that. Some people won't say that, thinking they're not going to say, "Oh, why did you leave? The person made me feel uncomfortable. His jealousy, her jealousy was too much. She was too insecure." Some people are not going to say that. They're not going to say that. You know what? I felt uncomfortable. I really did feel uncomfortable. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I felt like this person was angry at me. And that's honestly how some people feel. They feel like this person was angry at me. Like they used to go to church in fear. Like they'll get ready for church, and they'll be so scared to go through the door and go to church because they felt so scared. They felt like they did something wrong, but they didn't do anything wrong. They were just walking in their assignment. And they have been, they've been pruned by God, and like they're ready to step in purpose, but the person was too envious and jealous to take them, and they use intimidation and they want to control and sabotaging them, giving them bad advice. They give them bad advice, so they'll give them bad advice, and then they felt so uncomfortable, so they had no choice but to leave. And sometimes God will say, you need to leave. Like God shows so much signs. God showed them so much signs that look what he just said. Look what she just said. This is dangerous. Like you need to leave. And sometimes you have no choice because they're not trying to get better. They're not trying, and there's all these signs as well. Like they keep going and keep going, and it's like it's not getting better. They're not grateful. They're not kind. There's no humility there. It's just anger. It's just envy and jealousy, and it's like it's not going anywhere. So it's really really important to it's really really important to be discerning and check on your character. Like if you see that someone's leaving, always check yourself and wonder how you're acting. Are you being too passive aggressive? Are you giving people the silent treatment? Are you trying to one up them? Are you in competition with them? Are you in a secret competition with them? Like you have to check your heart. You have to check if you're being envious and jealous and you're objectifying the person. Um, so the next thing I'll talk about is appearance driven. When you're too obsessed with clothes, what people wear, their dresses, this could put people off because um, sometimes it's justified. Like if someone comes in with shorts on or they look really revealing, it makes sense. But just being so critical over appearances is gonna leave people feeling uncomfortable. They're wondering like if they're gonna have to second guess themselves. Like they feel like they're gonna be controlled. Nobody wants to be controlled by Jezebel. Nobody wants to deal with someone that's controlling, and it's giving Jezebel vibes when you're trying to control people what they wear, everything what they wear. Like I understand if someone being immodest, it'll make sense. But using humiliation rituals, trying to embarrass somebody, it's just when people will see that and they feel like, wow, I don't want to be next. Seeing somebody getting humiliated because of what they wear, and using humiliation rituals and stuff like that and humiliating somebody, you might think that, oh, don't worry, it wasn't you, I didn't do it to you, but the person does not want to be next. And that can go for word curses too, because sometimes people at the pulpit, they pour out their hate and anger, but they feel like, oh, don't worry, it's not towards you. And people look at that thinking, I don't want to be next. You don't know how to control yourself. You don't know how to communicate with somebody and confront somebody, confront an issue. You're throwing shade in the pulpit. You're being abusive on the pulpit. Why can't you talk to them in person? So sometimes they look at that. They look at that and think, okay, I don't want to be next. I don't want to be next. I don't want to be. I don't want to get. I don't want to get that backlash as well. I want someone to communicate with me if they have an issue, and not throw shade on the pulpit. And people look at that and think, okay, I gotta leave because I don't want this person's emotionally immature, and I can't have that. I can't have someone that can't control themselves, can't communicate. Someone that can't communicate is really, really dangerous, and they trying to avoid that. So being appearance driven, it's that's why some people leave, because they have certain dresses. Some people are fashion. They love fashion and clothes. They want to be themselves. They want to feel free, and if you keep telling them what to wear and tell them, oh, you can't wear that, you can't wear this, they're gonna just leave. They feel like you're controlling them. You're being controlling Jezebel. They don't think, oh, because sometimes it can come from a protected place. Like, I'm trying to protect you, but the humiliation rituals, the objectification, that's not godly. When you objectify the person, you see them as an object, and you're like, oh, do this, do that, and you're snappy and you're rude and you humiliate them in front of everybody. Like that's not a way to go. That's humiliation, and you have to realize that some people leave because of bullies that they're trying to abuse their power and trying to abuse their title. They have a title, so they want to abuse people and control them with it, and it's not right. You can't try to control people and wonder why your church has not grown. People wonder. People are like, oh my gosh, they're so arrogant and ego driven that they don't realize that how controlling they are. And maybe because they're surrounded by Ahabs, maybe they're surrounded by people that are passive. They don't like confrontation, or they just see it as a social club and they got their friends there. They don't care, but I do care. I do care about mistreatment, and people won't say nothing because they've got their friends and they've got their crew, they've got their clique, and they're not going to say nothing. But you can't mistreat somebody, get away with it. It's not nice. It's not nice trying to put someone down and think it's okay to control them and think you can humiliate them. It's not right. Humiliating somebody. Next one is slavery. Labor. Like sometimes it's good to serve in church. It's good to volunteer, but sometimes people do feel like a slave. They get burnt out, and sometimes they want support, and some people they have the spirit of rejection. They could have the orphan spirit, and sometimes it's like they're not praying much or something like that. And I get it. It's not always the church's fault. Sometimes they get burnt out. Sometimes it's just like they get burnt out and then how to explain it. But sometimes it's spirit of rejection, and sometimes the orphan spirit make them feel like they're nothing. They're not important. They're just a slave. They're just a machine that they're supposed to just get to work and do stuff, and they feel so empty. They feel so invisible. They feel so dark. They feel like they're nothing. They feel like a nobody. They feel like they're just existing. They're just somebody's slave, and they're just building they're just building someone's empire, and they feel like a slave, and they feel so empty. They feel unloved. They feel unseen, and sometimes they get burnt out. And then some people, they are getting burnt out. Their leaders have unrealistic expectations. They got unrealistic expectations, and they're like, you know what, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it's just constant all the time, and they have to, maybe they have to fill in the gaps. People are not committed as much, and they have to fill in the gaps. They have to do things that people won't do, and maybe they're too embarrassed or ashamed to say to the golden child or the popular person that we need your help. But sometimes they have to fill in the gaps of people that they want to do the work. Some people are lazy, some people are lazy. Some people are like lacking sometimes, and like people that go the extra mile, they're getting burnt out because they have to cover up the things that people won't do. And maybe they feel like, especially the scapegoat. The scapegoat has to do the most work because, people that's supposed to be doing things are not doing it, and they're scared because they got family, they got a crew, they got a clique. But some women, some people are people pleasers. Some people don't have family. They don't have a father that protect them and say, you know what, you need to leave her alone. You need to leave her alone. You're doing too much. Some people don't have anybody like that. That's why people walk away, because they think, I don't want to be the Cinderella of the church. I don't want to be the Cinderella. If something happens, they're going to blame me. If something bad happens, they're going to blame me for their ministry failing, because they think, oh, you know what, things are not working well because of you. And they feel like, they look at someone thinking, okay, she has no family. She has no friends coming to this church. She has no friends or family. She has no father, like she has no husband or nothing like that. We can blame her for everything. And people like, they don't want to be blamed for everything. They don't want to come to church, and people feel like, oh yeah, we could blame her. If someone goes bad, we could blame her. She doesn't want to stick up for her. And people just feel burnt out. They feel like, you know what, if something bad happens, they're going to blame me. And they don't want to get that blame. So people just walk away. They feel like, before it can get ugly, before it can get too dangerous, they walk away because they feel like it's not enough. Whatever they do is not enough, and they feel burnt out. They feel tired. And some people are prophetic. They're the baby Elijahs, and they're burnt out. They're depressed. But people don't see that. Some churches are driven by, it's business driven. They don't care about ministry. They don't care about callings. They don't care about people's callings and their ministry and stuff like that. They're just thinking, get to work, you build my empire, and shut up. But when they see someone depressed, or like, they don't say, oh, okay, yes, I think you're prophetic. I think that maybe you carry a burden and there's something there and we're going to help you. It's like, no, you need to sit somewhere and build our ministry, build our business. We're a business-driven ministry, and get to work. And sometimes they are works-driven. Sometimes they are works-driven. It's like, get to work. I don't care if you're called to ministry. I don't care if you're carrying a burden. I don't care if, you are prophetic and you got something to say and you got a burden. Just get to work, please. And it's like, please go somewhere. This is empire. And they have a one man show mindset. They have a one man show mindset, and I get it. Some churches are like, there's only one person called to ministry and get to work. And some people, they will have to leave. That's why some people leave, because they go through spiritual warfare, and they become a disturbance to their business, their brands. Oh, you ruin our brand. How can you be in hospital? What are you doing? What are you doing in hospital? Now you need to come and serve. Why are you in hospital? But they don't understand that. They're starting to lose what church really means. It's about helping the sick, helping the poor, and stuff like that. So when people, end up having financial issues and issues with the hospital, going to hospital and stuff like that, they're like, okay, come back and build our empire. And it's like, no, I can't. The next one is poverty. The obsession with money. Sometimes people, they get laid off, and now they are not important anymore. When they were giving money to church, there was like, they were praised, or like, oh, well done, you're brave, thank you. And as soon as they lose their job, person looks at them as a problem. They're now a burden. They lost their job, and now the person looks at them as a burden. Like, okay, can you walk to church then if you can't afford to come? Like, they're just like, okay, she's now a burden. And it's like, sometimes when poverty happens, like you lose a job or something, When you're sitting there, you see how much. I think sometimes people see how money obsessed somebody is when they're going through poverty. Sometimes, like there's sometimes when you're going through, you have issues with work, and especially the job market these days. The job market is really bad, and sometimes people sit there and think, aren't they reading it? Can't they read the room? Are they reading the news? Because sometimes they have unrealistic expectations, and they're like, can't you see what's going on in the news? Unemployment. There's hardly any employment going on. There's job market is really bad, and they keep constantly talking about money. We need your money. We need this. Sow a seed. Sow a seed. And sometimes people are like they get a bit frustrated because they think, okay, aren't you seeing what's going on in the world? Like, some of us are struggling, and they just feel like they're a burden. They feel embarrassed. They feel like, okay, I'm a bit poor and I need to budget. I can't really help your ministry right now. I'm going through issues of work, and and I lost my job, and there's certain things that got to prioritize. Because some people been unemployed for a year, 6 months, and it's like you got to save money. You got to save some kind of money. And some people, some leaders are unrealistic, and sometimes they're not aware of it, and people do feel uncomfortable because I don't think some people feel like their churches live in a bubble. Like, they're not aware of what's going on in the world, and they don't seem to care, and that's why people walk away. They're thinking, maybe they're trying to build an empire, they're trying to get a bigger building, and if their ministry is about feeding the poor or something like that, they're probably thinking, okay, they kind of care. They care about the poor, and they sit there and think, okay, this church care about the poor, and they actually care about people. But it's not like it used to be. Like, it's so hard to get a job now, and it takes longer to get a good job. So when they talk about money and give all your money away, that's not enough. Like, what is that? Like, when they have that mindset, like, oh, what is that? Like, is that all you're giving? And then the person feels embarrassed, they feel ashamed, because when it comes to money, they are struggling, and they're not. I think some people that are, they have privilege, they got rich parents, or they got from a rich family, or something like that. They have the privilege, and they're just sometimes just arrogance. They want to build an empire, and they just say, you know what, this is all about money. And someone sitting there, they thought that church was about giving to the poor, caring for the poor, and caring for them all the time, and like making sure everyone's safe. But if it's just about money all the time and scamming people, and it's just about money, 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 people want to walk. People just walk away. They don't really buy it. They just look at it and think, okay, this person's too obsessed with money, and they're not sure if they can actually carry on being here, because they don't want to be a burden. They don't want to be a burden. They want to be a blessing. And when they're going through spiritual warfare and they don't have a job, they feel powerless, and they feel like, I want to help churches. I want to help. I want to volunteer in some kind of way. But if the church is like, you know what, we want your money, and if that's their main focus, then if every sermon is about money all the time, and they'll feel a bit uncomfortable and think they're gonna walk away because they're not strong in that department right now. Next one is spiritual warfare and family issues. Sometimes maybe someone going through spiritual warfare and they've got family issues. They don't want to even. Some people don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. Their family's in hospital, and their family's going through it, and they're going through spiritual warfare, and it's making them. They spend nights crying, weeping, and they're in pain, and they feel so sad. They feel powerless, and they feel so. They're worried about the future. They feel hopeless, thinking like, they have to deal with the uncertainty. Are they gonna get better? And sometimes they stop going to church a little bit. Some people stop going to church for a little bit, and they have life happens. But when they do come back, when they do come back, and the pastor's being passive aggressive on the pulpit, and they're saying, oh, these people aren't committed, they ain't coming weekly, they're not coming to church weekly, or something like that, or they say stuff like, oh yeah, you're not available all the time. It's like, and they throw shade on the pulpit, and they start to question if the spiritual warfare is coming from them. Is the leader that's preaching, are they causing the spiritual warfare? Are they causing the witchcraft? Because when they sense that a leader doesn't like them, they start to think that, are they causing the spiritual warfare? Are they causing the witchcraft? Is this why my family member's in hospital? Is this why that I lost my job? Are they causing it? Did I upset them? Did I upset them? Are they the reason why I'm going through spiritual warfare? Are they doing witchcraft on me? That's why it's so important to communicate and do things properly and make sure that you understand that when people are going through stuff, you could say stuff like Karen, like, oh, God's there for you. He's gonna take care of you, whatever you're going through. If they're just objectifying people on the pulpit and they're saying horrible stuff, they're saying like, oh yeah, if they're saying stuff like, oh, you're not committed enough, some people don't talk. They suffer in silence. Their families and their family members going through warfare, and they don't go, oh my gosh. They don't. Sometimes people don't say, oh my gosh, it's because I didn't serve in church. That's why I'm going through this. Sometimes they think that, oh, you know what, I don't think that leader liked me, and I wonder if they're doing witchcraft on me. They don't go, oh my gosh, I'm not committed enough. They start to think that, wow, I think this leader, I did sense that the leader didn't like me, but now I'm going through spiritual warfare. I'm wondering if the person likes me. And when they do come to church, they're brave, after they wipe their tears, and they stop curling the ball and they come to church and they hear their leaders saying stuff like, yeah, you're not committed enough. Like they might say stuff like, oh, these people ain't coming weekly because they got better thing to do. They think they're all that. And they wonder if the sabotage, the word curses, the spiritual warfare is coming from them, and they want them out. And sometimes they do think that they want them gone. Like sometimes people could be intimidated by someone's ministry and they want them gone, so they try to destroy them as much as they can. They try to intimidate them as much as they can and sabotage them so they can get them out. So get out, like just come out of the church, like leave. And sometimes they do feel pushed out. I don't know if it's like maybe sometimes people get it wrong. They get processing wrong when it's brainwashing. Maybe they're trying to brainwash them first and feel like, okay, this person can go to the church, but I have to brainwash the person. I have to it's not process, it's not mentoring, it's control, it's intimidation, it's brainwashing. You could hang out, you can hang in this church, but we need to brainwash you first. Like you can come here, but we need to brainwash you, and you can't have self-esteem here. You can't have self-esteem here. You can't. We have to brainwash you. We have to gaslight you. We have to word curse you, and you have to be under a spell. That's the only way you could be here. And sometimes when the person's like, I don't want that, they try to ruin their life, try to destroy their life, and that could be the case. But it does not help when you're in a pulpit and you're being shady. You don't know what's going on in their life. You don't know the spiritual warfare they're going through, and you're throwing shade. They will start to question if you're actually doing something behind the scenes. And like the next one, it's the same thing really. Illnesses and pain. When it comes to illnesses and pain, they sometimes feel like it could be a witchcraft attack. Someone at church don't like them, and they're going through stuff. They're having issues with their health, and they think, is it because someone at church don't like me? Because they reflect back about the pulpit, the shade that the pulpit, the passive aggressive behavior, the silent treatment, people being indifferent, and they go back to that when they're in pain. They just go back to what happened in church. And sometimes it's illness, sometimes life just happens, but sometimes they when they're in pain, they're in agony, they're, oh my gosh, okay, what's going on here? Like, what did I do? What did the person do? And they go back to that and think, okay, maybe I need to leave. So life does happen, and it's so important to be that rock to say, you know what, God's with you. If you're throwing shit in the pulpit and you're being snappy at the pulpit and you're rude, they're going to think you got something to do with this, that you don't like them. Because it's one thing like, oh, you know what, just turn the blind eye, just be a bigger person. But when your life is falling apart, you question it. You think, maybe I should leave. Maybe God wants the person to leave. And sometimes the person hasn't done witchcraft. It's just like God wants you gone. God don't want you there. It's not your church. It's not. You have different values or morals or different vision. The vision is just different. Maybe God wants you to be in a bigger church because your platform is on marketplace or social media, and He doesn't want you to volunteer and serve in church all the time. And maybe He wants you to go to a bigger church when they have more volunteers and stuff like that. And sometimes it's just not the right fit. You don't have to bash the church. You don't have to bash people that leave. You don't need to bash churches. You don't need to bash churches or bash people that leave. You don't need to bash the pastor. You don't need to bash yourself. You don't need to bash people that leave. It's just not right fit. It's just different visions. They have to say something bad about the church to walk away from it. So that's important. And then I think this next one is like work issues, bad contracts. Maybe people that work from home, people that have their own business will say, you need to work, you need to serve in your church from Monday to Sunday. You need to do this, you need to do that. But when someone has a 0-hour contract, or they have a bad contract, or something's happened at work, the manager keeps changing the rota, and you have this weird contract all of a sudden, and you can't serve like these Christian influencers tell you to do, and you're like, okay, you have to tell the leader that, oh, sorry, I can't I can't really volunteer today because I can't volunteer next week because they changed the rota, and then you look unreliable. And you know, people might say about stuff about you, thinking, oh yeah, she's unreliable, like she's not committed to the mission and stuff like that. And it's embarrassing because sometimes you do get people do give you advice. They say, you know what, serve in church, you know, do all you can. But sometimes when you do have a manager that's Jezebelic and trying to change the rota and trying to control things, and you have a leader that's not, you know, there's no empathy there. It's like you stuck. You feel so stuck because it's like all these people trying to sabotage you, and it's like hard. So some people leave because they feel embarrassed. They have a dodgy contract. They have a dodgy contract. Some people in it, they have good jobs. They're entrepreneurs. They work from home. They're CEOs. They got a good job. They have a life balance with. Some people are in jobs that they wish they wasn't part of. They have no choice. They have weird contracts, and they can't commit. And some people, you know, they'll throw shit in the pulpit saying, "Oh yeah, you can't volunteer, you can't serve in ministry. You put work first," and they feel like rubbish. They feel like, no, I love God, and I put God first, but I've got bills to pay, and I have a dodgy contract, and I'm trying my best to find a better job, but like sometimes they have unrealistic expectations. Again, like I'm saying, they have unrealistic expectations. Sometimes some people need to be more open minded. They need to be aware of the world. They need to be aware of that. Some people have weird contracts. Some people do have 0 hour contracts, and they change things all the time. There's always last minute change. You know, some people, you know, it's classism really. Like some people, they don't have that luxury of like having their own schedule to themselves. Next minute they're changing the schedule. They're saying, you know what, you can't come in this time. It has to be this time, and their life is getting turned upside down. They do love God. They do love to serve in church, but their schedule is different. And I want church to be for poor people too. I want people to come and feel safe. I don't want to feel judged because they have a different schedule. And you know, these Christian influencers are telling people that, you know, you need to serve and do this, and you know, and it's just like some people feel like their love is conditional, but love is unconditional. And I want you to know that you don't have to feel embarrassed. You don't have to feel ashamed that you're going through spiritual warfare, because that's you know, God loves you the way you are, and you don't have to perform to get love. The next one is spiritual abuse. Public humiliation. You know, trying to shame someone, using spirituality to abuse somebody, embarrass somebody in front of people is humiliating, and it's hurtful. And some people are scarred. Some people are so broken by that, and they leave because, you know, they don't feel safe in church. They feel humiliated. They feel bullied, and it's like every time they try to, you know, go to a different church or something like that, it's someone trying to humiliate them all the time, and then they're just tired of it. They're tired of humiliation. They're tired of gossiping. You know, the gossiping, the humiliation rituals, and they go to church and they want to be empowered, but sometimes, you know, they're not told they're prophetic. They're not told that they're, you know, they're anointed. They're told that they're crazy. They smell. They're lazy. You know, you just got autism. You know, you're not prophetic. You're just stupid. And you know, they just say all these horrible things, and people wonder why these girls, you know, they grow up in church and they have low self-esteem. They attract so much bad boys. They are in they end up self-destructing themselves because they just been grew up by abusive leaders that tear them down. They tear them down. They put their self-esteem down. They said, "Oh, you're a loser. You're weird. You don't fit in." And like, as a prophetic person, you don't fit in. You're gonna be misunderstood. And we need to start empowering these kids and saying that, you know what, you don't fit in because you are a called by God. You're different. And these women are having identity issues. These men are having identity issues because their leader tried to tear them down before they can even grow up. And it's so important to stress that, you know what, I know these people are leaders. I know they have titles, but they're not. They are not God. Don't worship them, and don't walk away from God just because of a abusive church leader that it hasn't healed. Some leaders need counseling. See, some pastors need counseling and therapy, and some people hear what the pastors say about them, and they go to they just go into rebellion. They walk away from church altogether because they've been hurt. So it's so important to you know, really like be aware of it. Be aware of of spiritual abuse and stuff like that. Next one is social climbing. When it becomes clicky, when it becomes like popularity and stuff like that, people walk away because they're like, you know what, prophetic people don't fit in. They are quiet. They're misunderstood. When it becomes a popularity contest, when it becomes like, oh, who can get close to the pastor, who can be the most flattery person, who could give the pastor the most money, who can be who could give the pastor more flattery, it becomes a social club, and these people don't fit in. You know, when some people that call to ministry, they don't fit in. They're misunderstood. They're unique. They want a lot of time with God so they can get downloads. They haven't got time to they haven't got time to give the pastor flattery. You know, these trying to be a social climber, being somebody they're not. They want to be authentic. They want to be themselves. They want to have a lot of alone time with God. They don't want to people please and tap dance for the pastor. They want to have that time alone with God so they can hear what God is saying. And they don't want to idolize their pastor and social climb and people please and just be burnt out trying to impress the pastor. They want to do what they want to do God will. They want to do God's will. They don't want to be tap dancing and performing for the pastor and being in the social club. And that's why people walk away because they're like, oh, you know what, I think I'm called by God, but I don't think I'm called by these pastors because they want me to dance, they want me to perform for them, and want me to be a groupie and chase them down all the time. And they're like, you don't want that. Some people called to ministry, they had no choice. Some people are actually called to ministry and they have no choice. God called them, and some of these pastors and leaders will act like you're a groupie. Oh, you want to be first lady. Oh, you want to be first lady. You want to do ministry. Oh yeah, you need go get my coffee. And it's just like, no, I don't want this. Like, they're going through spiritual warfare and they want to be mentored and covered, but not be a groupie. I don't want to chase somebody down and like, oh, I want this, like it's a talent show. No, that's not what it was. That's not what I want. So that's why people walk away, because I think this has now become a situation. I'm tap dancing and I'm being a groupie. I'm chasing down leaders, and I thought they will see that I'm called to ministry. I thought they will see it. I don't think you have to go through. They will have to go through hoops and stuff like that to go to tap dance and be part of ministry. They thought that they'll be seen as a human being. They didn't think they would have to be a groupie and chase down a pastor. The next one is scams. Scams and exploitation. When it comes to scamming, it's very common. People get scammed with money, exploited, and some people, like, they go in it and they go into church and they think that, you know what, I'll pay for this, I'll pay for that, and and they get told, they go through emotional blackmail, emotional witchcraft or whatever, and they realize that they're scamming. They're scamming. They go to they do certain activities and think this is just a scam. Like, this is not even helping me, and that's why people walk away. They think this is a scam. Like, I can't. This is not gonna. This is not helping them in any kind of way. This is not helping them in this kind of way. And it's walk away. They think, you know what, this is a scam. They're trying to scam me. This ministry costs too much money, and it's like, you know what, I'm going through spiritual warfare at work. I've lost my job and I'm going through issues with a Jezebelic manager or something like that. And here they are trying to empty my pockets. And I get it. Some people, you are allowed to have businesses. You are allowed to, make money in different ways. But when you make it like a central thing, like, oh, you have to. If you don't, I'm going to be passive aggressive. I'm going to use intimidation. Because nothing wrong. If you want to, you want to have paid courses, you want people to buy your courses and stuff like that, that's fine. But when it becomes like, oh, if you don't do it, I'm gonna use intimidation. I'm gonna use intimidation. I'm gonna use sabotage. I'm gonna sabotage you now because you won't join. You won't do it. And it's just like, it's a scam. It becomes a scam, and it's not. If it's like, oh, you can if you want to, then it's like not a scam. But when it becomes like essential, like, oh, you know what, I'm not gonna look at you. I'm gonna give you the silent treatment until you do it, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a scam. So you have to be very careful that, like, it's supposed to be optional. When you want to control somebody, that's not right. When you want to control somebody, when you're scamming and you're trying to scam people for money, you have to make it optional thing. You can't scam people and get away with it and think it's good. That's why people walk away. They don't want to get scammed. They either got scammed or they don't want to get scammed. And the last one, which I'll be saying, is titles of bad character. We have normalized the arrogant pastor, bossy, miserable pastor every single week. I get it. Sometimes it's all right to have a bad day, but weekly is a problem, because it's like, how can you not have the fruits of the spirit? How could you not have the fruits of the spirit every week? Something's wrong, and it's one day as well. Like one Sunday, you rude to everybody, and Ahab's people around him. Ahab's will say, "Oh, they're just jealous of you. You see a title, you're jealous." But sometimes it's like, no, they're very, their attitude stinks. Their attitude really stinks. They're snappy, they're rude, and sometimes they can get carried away with their title. They can really get carried away with their title, and they can't see without they can't see themselves, and have no social awareness, and it's just like their attitude really smells, and they're really rude, and that's why people walk away, because like this person's just too rude for me, and they have to walk away, and sometimes they're not realizing it. They feel like, oh, you know what, I done this, I didn't, I done this, I done that, and they justify their rudeness, but some people will walk away for that, and they think, oh, that's petty. That's really petty. He's doing so much things behind the scenes. He's doing this from Monday to Sunday. He's doing this. People don't see that. They realize how they felt, their body, their nervous system. Their nervous system couldn't take his anger, his attitude. They couldn't take it, and some people walk away. And even though they had good reasons, it's like, it was really bad. It's really bad, the character. And we can't be obsessed with, like, talking about being modest, because in the Bible it said that we need to have inner beauty, and we can't care about our clothing only, think about our clothes. So it's just like, when it comes to inner beauty, it's really important. Have a gentle spirit, be patient. Can't just care about how you look, in luxury. You want to be wealthy and look good from the outside, but you have to have a good heart. You have to be kind. You have to be patient. So I hope that helped. If you needed counseling or coaching or prayer requests, email me. Thank you for listening.